What's up? Welcome to Viseland. We got another episode coming for you. It's going to be Wednesday, December 9th. Is when this is airing. Mikey, what's going on with you this week? What are we watching? What are we feeling?
Do you have a shirt with a picture of you on it?
It's Damian Lillard, and
Oh, got
I
you.
hope I hope it's like me. I don't know. I don't know if it looks enough, but it's a Dame time. He's got the watch. He's clicking it.
Yeah,
Actually,
I
you
got
love
you that shirt
the
actually.
picture.
It just from just like from here, it looks like you.
Good to know.
It's kind of funny.
I wish our games were similar, but unfortunately, I'm just a little bit better at
Yeah,
executing.
it's Nathan McKee.
Yeah, make him take them. Shout
Yeah,
out to them. They make some great shirts. He's got like, you got me this. You got me a Rasheed Wallace,
yeah.
like a sweatshirt. There was a Sabonis shirt. I remember on his website, and he's got some good like prints as well.
He just does some tremendous art. Yeah, if you go to his website, just type in Nathan McKee. Yeah,
I
props
will,
to
I'll
you,
link.
Nathan.
I'll link to
That,
that.
that Rashid shirt, I got one from my friend. He has worn it pretty much every other day of
Oh,
his.
I wore it to work all the time, and it confused everybody at my work because nobody was into sports at all. So it was just like
All
me.
don't lie.
Thunder was very was quite a bit for them. But explaining the legacy of Rasheed Wallace was worth it.
Definitely,
The look on their faces.
man. We're just out here looking for the next Rashid Wallace.
Well, we hope. But this last week we talked about 10 players. This week we're gonna go over another 10 players that keep on your mindset for the 2021 draft, because who knows, it'll be.
These were entirely chosen by my co-host, by the way, Jason Visenberg. Chose all of these players after I went through my database and chose the guys last time. But yeah, these are another 10 names to watch, and some guys that are certainly on the draft radar. Many of them were last year. We have a lot of returning players in this episode, but a few exciting freshmen. One who made his debut today. So yeah, we'll talk about him and talk about a few other players to at least keep in the conscious for this upcoming 2021 draft and possibly for future drafts.
Yeah, 20. We don't know who's going to come out for sure, but just again, names, good NCAA names to keep on your radar. So we're going to start it off in the SEC. We got Moses Moody, Arkansas, 6'6", 205 freshman. He just won SEC Freshman of the Week. He's kind of had a nice little start to his season. And so, like, Mike, like, what are your kind of thoughts on him as far as like what he brings and like where he kind of stands like as a draft prospect?
Yeah, I think he was somebody that draft Twitter and I think a lot of people that followed high school basketball closely felt was just kind of underrated, even though he was I think, consensus top 40 guy. And he had kind of a rough start his first couple games, like percentage wise, but was still getting to the free throw line quite a bit, was doing some good things off ball, was playing some good defense. What he was known as, he also, so in high school, Moses played for, he started off in Arkansas, but he played his last 2 years at Montverde Academy. He has a 7-foot wingspan, so like huge guy, like also 8'8" standing reach, so great size for a wing, really good shooter. And I think he's best known for just his ability to play off the ball. Obviously played with two fantastic passing, like jumbo initiator types with Cade Cunningham and Scottie Barnes. Also Day'Ron Sharpe on that team, who's done a great job for North Carolina so far. So yeah, he was kind of the fourth guy on that team, or at least considered that by some. But many felt, just in terms of NBA translation and in terms of him potentially being like a 3-and-D type wing, he was looking very good there. Also had a chance to see Moses. Unfortunately, didn't play in 2018. He was there, but he had his arm in a cast in 2018 at USA Basketball October minicamp. When I went in 2019, I thought he played pretty well. Was on a really great team, and I think they were the best team in the camp. And got to play with the likes of Caleb Love, Adam Miller, Keon Johnson, and so a guy that we'll be talking about later. But yeah, Moses really stood out as just having the physical attributes and the ability to read the game and make quick decisions on both ends of the floor that one could see possibly translating to an NBA level.
Actually, yeah, and he was actually, it's funny, I was just reading an article, ESPN just said like they're positionless, players of college basketball. They put in, but he's
Myron Metcalf.
Who wrote the article, or?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yes.
But yeah, so just interesting.
I haven't read it yet, but I just heard somebody on ESPN shouting it out during we were watching the ACC Big Ten Challenge, and so far the Big Ten seems to be getting the better of that one for the most part.
Yeah, but it's we know that series definitely year to year, so as ACC becomes strong. But yeah, no, I think Moody looks like right now he is shooting the ball pretty well, and I think 6'6", that size as that 3-and-D wing to maybe
and like a decent athlete, nothing like too great. He's not necessarily doing tons to create for himself, but he has a really great understanding of space and getting himself open. And yeah, it seems like he's just doing a wonderful job of playing off the ball right now. The one thing with Arkansas that I think is kind of helping his case early is that Arkansas has played no one so far. So that's one thing that definitely has helped, I think, is early numbers. And he's getting to the free throw line at I feel an unsustainable rate. But like the fact that he's getting there so much and then he's punishing teams from the line, I think he's in the high 80s at this point. Things are certainly looking good, and he's a guy that I feel is looking at possible lottery contention. Looks like a one and done. Looks like somebody that Draft Twitter had absolutely right coming into the NCAA period. And it seems like he really does have those physical tools and athleticism to possibly be somebody that the NBA really goes after.
Well, and the cool thing, again, about the draft, about basketball, is you look at him. He's ranked, last year, recruiting wise, he's ranked 40, and then this year, you look at him for the next level, the highest level NBA, he could be, a very highly picked player based on a okay but not the best ranking in recruiting. But I think it's just interesting how players get at different opportunities, a chance to really showcase.
Well, like a guy like Isaac Okoro, he was I think around the same RSCI, and they're definitely different players. And Isaac, I think, has a little bit more on ball skill, definitely was stronger and a better finisher around the basket. But Moody has that shooting that I think is incredibly valuable.
Yeah, and it's just the ability now in the league to be able to I feel like everyone's got to be able to shoot at a pretty good rate right now.
And as much as everybody's looking for guys that can play on ball and create, having somebody that knows where to be off ball, having that utility, having that ability to get open, having that potential to shoot off of motion, those are all things that I think work in Moody's favor. So he's probably not a guy that rises super duper high, but I think he's certainly somebody that I anticipate is going to be a possible lottery pick if he keeps this up.
Awesome. Well, and then moving on, we got UConn in the Big East. We got James Boughknight, sophomore, 6'5", 190. What are your kind of thoughts on how he is looking and what kind of projection he would have in the next level?
Yeah, he's a guy that I think coming into the year was one of the higher rated returnees. Had a good freshman year at UConn, mostly I feel like playing off the ball, and he's somebody that is just has a good pretty good physical profile, athletic profile. I think he got stronger. Certainly has shooting potential. Still, I have to be honest, I still need to watch more James Boughknight, and I probably haven't seen enough to really make too much of a declaration on him so far. But it certainly seems like he's at least improved. He's garnered a bigger role. He had high expectations coming into the year, and he is somebody that I think I'm not sure he has tons of on-ball utility, but it seems like he at least has some ability to create his own shot. And I think the shooting and transition play are both really big factors for him. And then also, I think he has at least some defensive chops. I don't think he's necessarily like a huge standout in that area, but I think he certainly seems to have some potential there too. So yeah, he looks like a kind of like a scoring guard who provides some nice athleticism.
Yeah, and then what sort of range would you have him within kind of the draft at this time? Like, you think he's going to come out? Because
like it certainly seems like he is, but yeah, like I as I said, I still probably need to see a little bit more. The range that I've seen him in seems to be like lottery to like late first round. I know that's a pretty wide range at this point, but yeah, like he looks like a guy who has first round potential, and certainly seems like a draftable player. But yeah, still somebody that I want to see a little bit more before I make a huge declaration there. What are your thoughts on James Boughknight?
yeah, it's kind of basically he's got the reputation. He's kind of a nifty scorer. I definitely think like his frame, 175 to 190 is like what I've seen for weight. So definitely like strength will be.
Yeah, listed on UConn at 190 right now.
Yeah, and then listen on like a Basketball Reference like 175. So
yeah, well, Basketball Reference doesn't do weight well, so
you never know. You never know.
I don't think they update their weight very well. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is listed at 225 on Basketball Reference, so we can go on about that. But yeah, I would probably as much as I have been through the gamut and gone through a lot of team site profiles, not necessarily giving correct info. I probably would lean closer to what UConn has him listed at now.
But again, even that, for some of the bigger guards you would go up against, and then also just
for sure,
really just passing, like just hanging on to the ball, because right now it's like he's getting about an assist a game and he's turning it over 2 times a game. Like
yeah,
like
and that's a huge thing. Like with that lack of strength in not necessarily having like decision making and on ball utility, like that's kind of a scary thing. In terms of drafting him like too high in the draft.
Yeah, because it's also like his size is interesting, because again, like 6'4", 6'5", you might want him to have the ball a little bit, but like if you can't make the right reads, the right plays, and you're turning the ball over, then you're just a 2. So I think he kind of falls into this like kind of like middle road.
Yeah, I don't know if he was ever considered like a point guard prospect, but yeah, he's if like it certainly seems like he has a lot of ways that he can shoot, and like the fact that he has pull-up potential as well, I think at least bodes well for him as like that off-guard prospect. Now it just kind of depends on if he has the requisite defense and everything to go along with that. But yeah, I still you definitely a guy that I want to watch more this year. Just have not gotten a chance to watch UConn yet.
And again, like if you're listening to this later, it's like still early in the college basketball season, so there's been a lot of games, but a lot of games left to be played, and obviously in this year, sometimes games that we look forward to also get canceled. So one of those games that did get canceled is for our next guy, someone that I'm guessing everybody has probably seen a lot of at this point. We're going with Corey Kispert from Gonzaga.
Yeah.
And the thing, in referencing him, the game we were looking forward to was that Gonzaga Baylor game would have been.
Which is apparently getting rescheduled.
Okay,
so
nice.
Let's hope.
Gonzaga
also was supposed to play tomorrow or I think on Thursday.
You're supposed to play like some whoever school.
Yeah.
And that got canceled.
Well, I think the point being is you'd like to see Gonzaga just play as much as possible this year, because they are just such a fun team, and seeing them, I honestly like. I think the WCC is going to be a lot of fun this year. Also, like they have a few schools that I wouldn't say give Gonzaga much trouble, but at least are like some pretty good teams. Like it seems like Pepperdine's really put a nice team together. St. Mary's always seems to have a pretty good group. And San Francisco, beat Virginia. So who
Well,
knows?
and my guy Damon Stoudemire, he's coaching at Pacific as well. He was coach of the year.
Sure enough.
You see last year.
Sure enough. But yeah, it seems like Gonzaga is just far and away fantastic this year. Corey Kispert, certainly one of the reasons there. He is a ridiculous shooter.
Yeah.
And it seems like the guy that, because he's from Washington, and my friend Matt McKay Jr. made a fantastic point just about him. And just something to think about even with like these bigger schools, because Gonzaga is like, while they play in the WCC, like they're kind of a blue blood, like, they recruit like all over, and
the way they recruit, even the transfers they get, like they get big.
Oh, for sure.
It's
but, yeah. So just to finish my point, what I was saying is that Corey Kispert played for like a 1A school in Washington, played for a smaller school, and like you can still get. And I know he was like a top 100 guy, but I find that still like the best schools seem to get these recruits from like smaller schools and still are able to develop them and get them to this point. So even with him being a top 100 guy, I don't think he was ever necessarily considered like an NBA lock coming out of high school. I think there was certainly a chance, but I just feel like Gonzaga has done a great job developing him. And now he's just like this absolute assassin. And he's great, obviously, as a spot-up shooter. He can shoot in many different ways. He can shoot off of movement. He's like excellent pulling up in transition. He can shoot off the dribble. He can shoot off the catch. Like there are lots of great factors about him. And I know that a guy from the Washington area who I think he's kind of like emulated is Joe Harris. And yeah, like it seems like Kispert is certainly getting some of those vibes. And he also is just like really strong now. Also, he's I would say about like 6'6". I'm not exactly sure what he weighs. I'm guessing 220 at this point.
They've been listing him at 220 on Gonzaga.
Yeah. So yeah, what I was thinking, and he looks like one of the best players in college basketball this year. Just an excellent offensive player. I don't think he's a terrible defender, but nothing probably to write home about there. But yeah, he's just immediately, as soon as he came to Gonzaga, had a nice role and just has gotten better and better each year. And this year he is killing it. So
yeah, like I think his career had a very natural, progression arc of like he was contributing as a freshman, and then more minutes came along, and he's really his shooting's been improving, and I think for him, he finds that spot in the NBA very quickly, just as being a shooting specialist, having that role, because again, you're talking. People converging into the lane, spot shooting, coming in, just being able to hit all those shots. I think like that's big for him. But where do you kind of view him on boards? Because I know you love him. Like he's you watch him. He is a really good player. But obviously the NBA, there's so many things factors that go kind of into consideration. Like where do you think a player like him, like range wise, would kind of wind up in the draft?
Yeah. I've heard a lot of people saying like late first,
yeah,
and early second, I guess would be kind of that range. Yeah, I just think he's going to be one of the more solid senior players in this draft, and then one of the most proven shooters, and a guy who kind of what you're getting out of him. Seems to have the requisite work ethic. And just the versatility of shooting, the ability to play off the ball. Those are all great factors with him. Not to mention like having strength and having like legit like wing size. So he, I think I'm guessing a lot of teams are going to be very high on Kispert, given the fact that he's come into his senior season looking like one of the best players in college basketball.
Yeah, I think for him, like defender, he's not, a total liability. But yeah, I think like improving the defense is what's going to get him into, a starting role, keep him on the court. But yeah, like at his core, it's just like shooting specialist for sure at that wing. And again, pretty good size, 6'7", 220. He has some experience. He's been a fun player to watch throughout his career at Gonzaga. I remember even last year against when he played Oregon, he definitely had a strong performance there as well.
Yeah, he's had strong performances so far.
Yeah, and I mean, like right now,
Season.
last year, full season sample size, he's shooting like 40, 43, almost 44% from three. This year, smaller sample size at this point, but 45%. So yeah, he's just someone that knows.
And then his career, he's like 40%. So yeah, he's I think pretty proven as far as shooting goes. He's just below 80% as a free throw shooter. Yeah, he's a guy that has all the confidence in the world in his shot at this point, and for very good reason.
Oh yeah, totally. As he should. I think again the things you look at for the draft, it's obviously age, because obviously seniors versus freshmen. The draft does tend to trend younger at times, but I definitely think he's going to be someone you're going to see during this college basketball awards season. Of like All-American teams and things like that. But I definitely think he's a good shooter. And we've seen guys very similar to that get a lot of playing time in the NBA. Like it's just you don't think of them as.
Joe Harris just signed for I believe 4 years, $70 million. So
yeah. And again, he's not the guy that's going to be running down the court.
Alan Crabb, you've got they shooting specialists who can at least play scratch defense or provide something.
Okay, like he's not going to be you're not going to put him on LeBron and be like, oh, shut him down. But he's not like a complete green light either. But I think improving the defense to get to a point of a little bit more respectable would definitely get him more minutes. But again, there's nothing wrong with just literally being that guy that comes in those fits that spot of just we need to hit some shots or we need to spread the floor a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Putting him on, so I definitely think like he'll definitely be someone if he does slip to the second round, definitely somebody will be very happy to get him there, because I definitely think he should be a first round, like based on talent. But the draft, so many factors, so many things still left to be undecided.
Yeah, man, it's I'm sure there are players that we'll be talking about, and your opinions change just throughout the process, and just gathering more information.
Yeah. Oh, totally. It comes from game film. It comes from team need. It comes from projections. Like there's so many things that are still up to play. Leading up to.
I wouldn't be surprised if Corey Kispert ends up being a first round pick though, and I'm guessing that he'll probably likely deserve that range.
No, definitely. But to put in a great career, if you get a chance to watch Gonzaga, they're a very special team. Not just because they're playing in the WCC, they're going to make it, but they're national. This could be the one team that does win it all for them possibly.
Yeah, it certainly looks that way.
Which it could be nice to see them get over that hump eventually, and just get one, because they've been such a highly respected team for pretty much like 20. I really think like almost 20 years of like them being in the tournament and like getting good seeds.
Over that. Oh, okay, getting good seeds, yeah.
Yeah, getting good seeds. Like they used to make it, but then like once it became like a 3 seed or higher, like that was a normal thing. I think like early.
Yeah, Mark Few's been owning these conferences for quite a while.
And I know there's as a Duck fan, it's like there's kind of a reason we generally tend to avoid them. Anyways, that's my thought. I would love to see them play more, in the Northwest, but happens to Washington sometimes, and it's not so much fun for them. But moving along, we got Charles Bassey, Western Kentucky. He's a junior. He's coming in at 6'11", 235.
Yeah, at least that's what he's listed. At the Hoop Summit, he measured in with a 7'3" wingspan, 9'2.5" standing reach. So legit center size. Has always been like this great rebounder also, and just seems to have a real knack for that. He has good vertical athleticism, even shows some like sort of ability to stretch, like some offensive utility, but also he's a little clunky. He's like it seems like he gets defensive stats, but he's not like the best defender. Yeah, and then just in terms of like his feel for the game and
I think
everything,
for
like
him, it's
right
like
now,
like offensively refining his game and then defensively staying out of foul trouble. Like there's a difference between getting a lot of shot blocks, but then also getting in foul trouble consistently. Like you kind of need to find that happy medium, being a very consistent shot blocker who's not always
yeah.
gonna
Also, so far, like for his career, he's averaging 0.8 assists per game to 2.8 turnovers. So like really high turnover rate. And then the other thing, and I don't know, maybe I shouldn't go into this, but I will. Charles Bassey, his listed date of birth is, I believe, October 2000. And the rumor was that he might be a few years older than that. So, yeah, just something to possibly look at as somebody who came from Nigeria. Also had injury issues last year. So
he redshirted last
maintained a redshirt year. But yeah, I'm expecting if he kind of keeps up his production or plays pretty well, it seems like he has enough buzz where he probably is somebody who could still get drafted just as being like an energy big with that good vertical athleticism. His lateral movement isn't great, but I don't think it's like catastrophically bad. So yeah, he's somebody that I think like almost like Nick Richards, like where Nick Richards kind of got drafted this past year. Like Bassey is kind of like along those lines, as somebody who you kind of look for as that offensive mismatch, the guy who can maybe catch a few lobs, and you hopefully get like some rim protection out of him. Like I'm thinking kind of along those lines. Like I don't think it's a direct comparison, and I don't think Bassey is necessarily like as terrible of a passer as Nick Richards, or he certainly has a better steal rate. But yeah, so he and then maybe he's not like quite as bouncy as Nick Richards, but certainly has some athleticism, has that strength. Both were Hoop Summit guys. And yeah, I am pretty sure that Bassey has still the Hoop Summit record for rebounds in a game for the world team.
Nice. How many do you remember?
He had 17. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I mean his freshman year.
Or maybe 18. I think he had like 17 and 18 or like something like that. He had a really good game. They won the game. He and RJ Barrett, I think, were the two big guys in that game. Jalen Horde too.
Yeah, his freshman year, 14 points, 14.6 points, 10 rebounds, 2 plus blocks. That's like looks like a pretty solid frame. But again, yeah, just I think like foul trouble always big, but I think in the NBA it's like you play this kind of energy or like backup center. You just kind of put in.
I don't think that foul trouble is like anything like out of this world. Like I still don't think he has like some super crazy foul rate at this point. But yeah, they could probably do better there. Yeah, and I think certainly like does chase block shots at times, but yeah, he's I don't think that's anything too much to worry about with Bassey. And I do remember I actually got to see his first ever college game against University of Washington, and he I remember one of the people with the team was saying that the way they felt about him was kind of like being in a Tristan Thompson type role, and yeah, like if he. I think he even has like more shooting potential than Tristan Thompson did or does. Doesn't necessarily
the whole switching hands thing that was like switching his shooting hand. I think that really
and also just never like having great touch or anything or like
totally. But I think it's concerning when they're like, hey, you've been doing it with your like left hand forever, switch it to your right. Like,
well, I think the ability to be ambidextrous is pretty cool.
It's pretty cool, but again, like,
and I feel like he did eventually shoot better as a right-hander, but yeah, certainly not ideal.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
not
people are
something
calling him on
that
Devin
is very
Vassell.
common.
People are calling him on Devin Vassell for changing his form. It's like
Yeah, well, we still haven't really seen that. And like, did he change? Like, it was like
no,
at
no,
the end of
no. I mean,
practice,
we
a
don't know. But
couple shots.
I'm just
Yeah,
saying, like people were going crazy enough about thinking that was a thing, let alone like having it.
yeah, yeah.
Which,
So, yeah. How did we get here?
that I don't know, but at the end of the day, like Bassey, I've kind of seen him, all over the place on some boards. Like, where are you kind of feeling that his best ideal range would be?
Yeah, I still don't know. I would say probably in the I would probably have him around second round range. But yeah, I'm still not completely sure. I've never been like intensely high on him as a prospect. And kind of feel like he is more of like the kind of older school center. But yeah, still has a chance to I guess prove himself this year, and yeah, it'll be fun to hopefully see him have a full year under his belt this time.
Well, you never know. It's like it's funny when you think about those like bigger, old school type players. It's like if a team falls in love with them, they do go up for it. Like I think of Isaiah Stewart in this past draft as well. Like again, late first, second round, and then someone was like, no, like him, we're gonna get him here. So I think he has that a little bit of intrigue, but yeah, we'll definitely see how that plays out. Then coming up, we got Jared Butler Jr. from Baylor, 6'3", 195. Kind of a pick and roll, kind of a very efficient
Yeah.
player. What are your kind of thoughts on him as far as how he's going to translate, how he would translate to the NBA?
Yeah, I would think he's kind of like, I guess, sort of like a combo guard, but he just has great ability to handle in the pick and roll, as you mentioned. A lot of creativity there, a lot of ability to get his own shot, shoot off the pull up and off the catch. He's I think a really good decision maker also. Assist to turnover rate may be nothing to really write home about, but I think he really makes some great decisions. He's really smart, and seems like as far as like his demeanor and everything, it seems like that seems to be like in high regard. He's not incredibly long. On the Baylor site, actually, and let's shout out the Baylor site for having this. They have everybody's wingspans on the Baylor site. So, but Jared Butler's wingspan is 6'3", so not incredibly long. So you would like to see him be a point guard, but yeah, it seems like also like a good shooter. Somebody you can really rely upon there, and like really smart off ball on defense, and it tries really hard on that end of the floor too. He's just not like the most explosive athlete, and then isn't like incredibly long. So
And I think he's I think he's not a true point guard.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it.
I think that's going to be the difficulty for him is really like finding.
But I think he makes better decisions than his assist to turnover ratio like shows, and makes better passes than like his assist numbers show. So yeah, I still feel like he at least has some potential there. But yeah, his creativity and like craftiness, I think are things that really have stood out. And like then the fact that Baylor has been fantastic the last couple of years, and Jared Butler has been like probably the main reason behind that. I think those are things that you take into account as well. So yeah, he's somebody that I was interested in if he would have entered the draft in 2020, and I think is going to garner interest in 2021.
And where do you think he kind of fits within the draft?
Yeah, I'm guessing there's probably a way he can play himself into the late first round. But yeah, I would probably have him around the second round range also. But yeah, he's somebody that at least like shoot, dribble, pass, has some good characteristics there. And yeah, like is he necessarily like, is he more of a combo guard? Probably, but at least his size isn't anything like catastrophically bad. I think there are ways where he could, teams could kind of talk themselves into thinking that he could be a good kind of like backup guard for them.
Yeah, backup guard like off the bench, can fill in for either kind of one of your guards for like a little spurt. I think that is definitely like a good role you see a lot of teams have. But yeah, I think like for him, if you could like kind of improve those kind of point guard skills a little bit, I think that would definitely go along because it's hard being a little bit between the two positions. Is can get you into a little trouble defensively, especially. I think like teams that have the small.
But he at least has smarts on that end of the floor, and then also his ability to handle the ball, I think, can take him a really long way.
And obviously, super efficient right now at Baylor. So, hopefully he finds a good home in the NBA because he'd just be a fun player to see at that level. Then we're going back to Gonzaga. We got Drew Timme, the sophomore, 6'10", 235. What are you thinking about the big Gonzaga guy from Texas?
Really talented offensive player. He's been great this year. Has had 3 huge games for Gonzaga. Struggled, I think, the most in the matchup against West Virginia. He had I felt a pretty tough first half, and his numbers are on a pretty small sample size right now, but he did a lot of great things offensively last year coming off the bench for Gonzaga as a freshman. Was certainly like a pretty highly rated guy in high school as well, coming out of Texas. And he, I think you see just how great he is close to the basket. And it certainly like has some shooting touch as well, but he's one of those kind of throwback offensive centers also. And is
I want to say he's post mid-range versus like stretch.
Yeah, definitely. And he's like very throwback as far as how he gets his offense. But he plays pretty well off of the ball and doesn't need the ball in the post. But he's been excellent in the post, excellent around the basket. Defensively, I think that's where a lot of the concerns lie. Just in terms of toughness also, like in rebounding. So going up against West Virginia, he did eventually score 17 points in that game, but I think it was definitely a tougher matchup for him. And then going up against like guys like who are potential NBA bigs, like even if we don't exactly know where they're going at this point, Oscar Tshiebwe and Derek Culver, like those are 2 badass college big guys that he went up against and at least struggled with for a time. But Gonzaga just being too good. He's a large part of that. I still think that he's going to obviously have a fantastic year, and I thought showed a lot of great flashes as a freshman. But you kind of wonder about translation, and I think even with like huge like almost Luka Garza-esque numbers that he might put up this year. And that's probably like last year. No, not even last year. Like, he's going to put up good numbers. I shouldn't say Luka Garza-esque because nobody's going to likely put up those numbers. But he's going to put up some really good offensive stats. But, you just kind of wonder about translation. You wonder if he has like the ability to rim protect at the next level. I still feel like he might be a ways away from actually making the NBA.
And like what do you think for it's like second round kind of range? Because I could see him as a guy who spent some time in the G League. Because again, I think like refinement.
I could see him going back to Gonzaga, honestly. Like I'm not sure he is a lock to come out this next year, just because I think he'll need to work on a few things in terms of defense and in terms of stretching the floor to see him having an optimal role in the league.
Oh, totally. Because that's why I was saying G League. Because again, it's like if you are that center on a one center with 4 other guys kind of spreading the court, and you can't rim protect. It's kind of,
Yeah.
it's not
Tough. And then obviously I don't think many teams are going to be running their offense through Drew Timme at the next level.
like
And,
well, so
while he is shown some good qualities off ball and shown that ability to finish around the hoop at a really high level, you just kind of wonder with the increased athleticism at the next level, if that'll still be there.
Yeah, because you need to be able to go in and rebound, be tough, rebound, block, and then no team's really running a lot of offense through the post, let alone from rookie late draft.
Yeah, his rebound rate right now, and this is on a really small sample size, but even last year, nothing really to write home about. But yeah, he's certainly a huge offensive talent and somebody that has done a fantastic job through 3 games, taking care of mismatches and having at least enough fluidity to make life tough for the centers that he's gone up against, some of whom are pretty good prospects in their own right.
Nice. Well, hopefully, obviously we're going to see a lot more Gonzaga heading into March. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if he does keep up, his current rate, if he feels like going in, but right now you'd probably say he should stay.
Yeah, I'm thinking he might, but yeah, it could go either way. He's likely going to be an All-American candidate. So yeah, there's no guarantees. But Luka Garza was first-team All-American last year. Had some things that he needed to work on. Came back to school.
Well, and again, I always feel like the way the rules are set, when you're on the declare. Take work out.
Yeah, he could still absolutely declare, but
declare.
Enter.
Yeah, no, totally. Get the feedbacks, get the notes. If you can afford to do it, it's definitely probably great experience to get that evaluation and just work out to see hey, this is what I need to do. Come back, focus.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, go back out the next year. Moving on, we got Florida. Going back to the SEC, we got Scottie Lewis, sophomore, 6'5", 185, freshman. SEC all last year. He was SEC all freshman. That came out very weird, but I was trying to go somewhere else with that. But yeah, what are your kind of, thoughts on him as far as how he will project?
Yeah, so 6'5", I would say about 190 now. 7-foot wingspan. I believe 8'7" standing reach also, or 8'8" standing reach. He's got wing size. I'm still not sure about Scottie Lewis. I know he's had a pretty good start to the year so far, on pretty low usage, I believe. But there are still a few things I'm a little concerned about. One is his ability to handle the ball, and then 2 is decision making. I know that so far this year, I think he has at least a pretty positive in terms of that. But yeah, the thing that I think stands out most about Scottie Lewis is that he's an absurd athlete, and he ran in high school. He ran a 10.6 100 and a 21.6 200. He when I saw him at USA Basketball in 2018 and at the Hoop Summit in 2019, he would finish first in sprints every time, just blazes down the floor. Obviously has some vertical explosiveness as well, though I think a lot of it is just that crazy length. The other thing that you hear is just as far as personality, coachability, those things are all working in his favor as well. I just feel his basketball, his awareness on both ends of the floor needs quite a bit of work. And I think the shooting is very hypothetical at this point, as opposed to something that you really bank on.
Oh, because again, it's a low sample size from 3 as well.
And he shot pretty well from the free throw line too. But yeah, it seems shooting's never really been a guarantee with him. And then, on ball utility, I just don't really see much of it there. Could still be like a good off ball player, but I'm looking for that awareness on both ends of the floor. The other cool thing that Scottie Lewis does every now and then, I don't know if you've seen this, Jason, but if he falls on the floor, he will get back up without using his hands and like kick his way up. Like
Oh,
he's one of those
like he's in
like ninja style, dude. It's crazy. Yeah, like so he's that kind of athlete.
yeah.
And yeah, like certainly like brings like a little kind of like that tenacity and he brings some energy.
Yeah, I think like it's slashing versus like shooting and like athletic ability. Like,
And then like just like general decision making, like off ball defense, and like ability to make quick and good decisions on ball. Both things that I think are still kind of question marks with Scottie. And then half court offense is also like a pretty big question mark with him too. With those physical attributes and like that athletic ability, you just would think you would finish better around the basket. Like you would hope for maybe a little bit more. And it always seemed like he left you wanting more at many levels. And the guy that I always liked, because he played for Ranny in New Jersey, and then he played, I believe, for Team Rio in EY, or not EYBL, in Under Armour. And he played with Brian Antoine, who is, I guess, technically considered a sophomore, but like barely had a freshman year at Villanova. Had injured his shoulder again. So he had an injured shoulder going into Villanova, injured his shoulder again. It's been a huge bummer. I always thought Brian Antoine was kind of like the guy between those two guys. Didn't have the physical attributes, but had more of that on-ball ability and that pull-up game. And I've just been really disappointed that Brian Antoine hasn't really gotten what I feel is like a fair shake yet to show his ability, because I feel like he had some at least some creation like upside for himself, and it seemed like was maybe a better decision maker than Scottie Lewis as well. But like Scottie, just in terms of the athleticism and like I think he's at least always going to get interest because of that. Because
I think it presents so much
with
intrigue.
some good physical tools. What were you saying?
It just presents so much intrigue with that insane athletic ability, wingspan, those kind of things. Like, where would you think he would, if he does come out? Because obviously he's someone that can stand to improve some things on his game, but he was ranked pretty high out of high school. And he does have that kind of potential spark to.
No, I would still think second round, but that's where I would likely have him, somewhere around there. And I also like I'll say like I don't think it's a guarantee he comes out again. You have like another player on Florida who I think is a better prospect, and then the emergence and I guess the literal growth of Trey Mann, I think could lead to some intrigue there also. But I'm sure that he'll get like people will still be interested just based on his athleticism, the physical tools, and the character. We'll see how the rest of the season goes. It seems like as far as like analytics and everything, it's been pretty positive so far, but you just kind of want to see more of a sample size there before you kind of change your mind too much on his freshman year and what you got from that, and what you got from him as a high school prospect.
When you mentioned, his, another teammate, that does have some NBA. So you have Keyonte Johnson, the junior, 6'5", 231, scoring, rebounding, bringing a little different things to the table there. Like, what are your feelings on him? Because he was also on that article, just about the positionless player. Like, where does he kind of find his niche role?
Yeah, he is somebody that I luckily had a chance to watch in high school, and he was rated like way too low. I remember, like, so he was on an Oak Hill team that had Keldon Johnson, David McCormack, and Will Richardson. And I left the Les Schwab Invitational thinking that Keldon Johnson was the best prospect on that team, but I thought Keyonte was probably the second best guy on that team. And I was kind of wondering, like what was off with him, because like why he was rated as low as he was. I think he was still like a top 100 guy, but I'm guessing
the RSCI has him at 69 for first class.
Oh, that was I feel like that was really low. Like to me, like 6'11" wingspan, really good shooter. Like the shot always looked really nice. Had some ability to put the ball on the floor also. Just really strong ability to finish around the basket. So he's was somebody that immediately stood out to me as like a pretty playable wing. And then like a good defender also, like, you know, at least showing some potential on that end of the floor. So yeah, I think he's strong. He's been fantastic as a spot up shooter, and he's really good at playing without the ball. Like, yeah. So, and then the other thing is like, he's a really good athlete. Like he can get off the floor really quickly. He's been a great finisher. So yeah, I think that he's going to be like a really intriguing wing prospect as far as one of the returning guys, and somebody that the NBA should be interested in. Like we saw how well Keldon Johnson did with San Antonio in the bubble. And I feel like Keyonte Johnson had like a lot of those similar qualities, just in being like a really strong wing type guy.
Yeah, I think it's solid frame.
Yeah, you know, and then he shot pretty well. Like I know it hasn't been the hugest sample size yet, but I buy his shooting.
But even last year, 60%. You know, he's 50, just under 51% as a freshman as well. So you know, he has been, you know, having a decent field goal percentage throughout his.
Oh, that's just field goal percentage. Okay.
Because three point, it's not a huge sample size. He's like last year, it was 2.5, like 2.5 threes attempted a game, and he was 38% off of that. Mm-hmm. But you know, that doesn't look like, you know, that's not like a ton of volume that you're kind of looking for, you know, to really make like a full analysis there. But
yeah, but shot pretty well from the free throw line. Not on like an enormous sample size either. But yeah, it seems like he's just always been like in a pretty good range. You'd like to see him up the 3-point rate, but yeah, he's I think there are definitely like a lot to like about him, and just in terms of like strength, athleticism, and the ability to be a good spot up shooter, to play without the ball. He's like another one of those like good kind of like off ball wings that provide some possible defensive utility also.
Yeah, I think at the size and his ability to rebound, I think that will definitely be a big piece. So where do you think, you know, he's kind of projecting, or like what range would you think he'd be falling into? Because he's a junior, so like most likely, you know, he's having a pretty good year. Yeah. Like odds are.
I'm thinking like, you know, like probably like mid to late first or like second round, like yeah, somewhere around there. Yeah, he's somebody that I'm, as far as returning players go, I was pretty high on, and just somebody that I've always really liked since I had the chance to see him and saw what he could possibly bring to the table as being that like strong wing player.
Yeah, and I think, you know, he's
strong, athletic wing player.
Yeah, like strong, and then he could also get above the rim. You know, he's not just strong and like get below the rim kind of guy. So yeah, I think he presents, you know, some good versatility in that range. So yeah, hopefully he'll be an exciting player to see throughout the year, and like kind of see what that buzz looks like as we get closer to the draft. Sticking in the SEC, Keon Johnson, freshman, Tennessee, 6'5", 186. You know, again, you know, athlete. You know, getting to the line is a good, you know, something that he can bring to the table. But then you look at other things, you know, that could stand some improvement, you know, shooting, again, ball control. But those could also be, you know, young player per things, but what are your thoughts on him as far as like what he's gonna present as a possible NBA prospect?
Well, I know that a lot of people that followed high school basketball really closely and were on draft Twitter are very high on Keon Johnson. I was lucky enough to see him at USA Basketball in 2019, and he was one of the standout guys there. Just in terms of, first off, I'd never seen him before. And, you know, I was kind of more familiar with some of the other players, but the place where I think he really stood out was on the defensive end. He just was fantastic at staying in front of people and made some really good off-ball like rotations, and just seems to have a great ability to read that end of the floor. Also, just had like some highlight defensive plays, which is something that's kind of rare to see at a lot of those places. But yeah, like, you know, just some high-level blocks, some steals, seem to make events happen. And he also has like fantastic balance and body control. I know that his first basket today, so Tennessee played their first game today against Colorado. It didn't seem like it was anything like incredible. And Keon Johnson and Jaden Springer, the two-star freshmen, did not start. But what people raved about with Keon Johnson –
Sorry, it looks like it froze up there. So give it just 1 second.
it's his ability to stay in front of people, looking great on that end of the floor.
Can you just repeat that? It looks like we had a little freeze up there. So Keon Johnson.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So yeah, the thing with Keon Johnson was his ability to mirror the offensive player. Just was fantastic on ball, made some really nice off ball plays, hustle plays, looking like a fantastic defender. As far as like the offense and everything goes, I thought it all looked promising, but it like just they were more flashes than anything super consistent. I think the shot looks good, but it's not something that I'm willing to like, you know, be all in on. I guess I kind of need to see more. He missed a lot of his senior year due to injury. I didn't get to see a ton of his AAU play, but he was somebody that I know draft Twitter as a whole was very high on. And I think he's a rare athlete. And like there's a chance, like let's say he doesn't get the minutes or, you know, like all the playing time necessary to be in one and done. Like there's a chance he comes back next year and is like this fantastic sophomore. But I still think there's a chance he could leave early. I was a little surprised that VJ Bailey got the starting nod over him. But yeah,
Hey, former Oregon.
I knew you would make that connection.
But so you know.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll see how Tennessee really plays out here. I'm guessing the freshmen were kind of like just behind in general, and I noticed that they didn't start either Keon or Jaden Springer, as I mentioned. But yeah, Keon's like I feel like +3 wingspan or somewhere around there. And somebody who has this great body control, the potential to finish near the basket. His first basket was on a lob. I don't know if I had mentioned that, but yeah, he can finish above the rim. He's, I think, going to be good finishing around the basket. The one thing I did notice was that he did have 5 turnovers today, and that's a lot. So yeah,
first game, you know.
Yeah, indeed, and like a guy who I saw have plenty of turnovers in his first game, and now is kind of into the draft conscious, and a Canadian guy, Delano Banton, who plays for Nebraska now. In his first game with Western Kentucky, had a really tough time, and then now you see him, he's 6'9" and has the ability to pass the ball, really comfortable handling the ball. But yeah, Keon Johnson was somebody that I feel there's a great article by the Steppians' Ross Homan talking about Keon Johnson and why he was so high on him. And I still feel like Keon Johnson is somebody that you really need to keep an eye on, and could end up being a really interesting prospect in this draft because of that crazy athleticism, the defensive ability, and if the shooting works out at all. Decision making was still something I was never completely sold on with him, and I wasn't sure about his on-ball utility, but he looks like a possibly really good complementary piece. And yeah, like if he provides some offense to his crazy defensive ability, is somebody that you really need to keep an eye on.
Nice. Awesome. Well, that's why we put him out here. So, we'll see how the rest of the year progresses. And then, if he does declare or he does come back for the sophomore year. And then finally, the last part we're going to talk about is Franz Wagner. Moritz Wagner.
Wagner. Yeah.
Yeah. Moritz's brother at Michigan.
Wagner's brother. Yeah.
Like his brother.
Went to Michigan.
6'9", 220. Kind of, wing more than his brother.
Yeah, he was more like a wingish guy than Moritz was.
Than his brother, as a center, or the post guy for Michigan. What are your thoughts on, because again, like if he is gonna be in that wing spot, he is 6'8", 6'9", between like 210, 220.
Yeah.
In weight, so I definitely think that brings a pretty good size to that position. But what are your kind of thoughts on him as like a prospect and as a player?
Yeah, he's somebody that it still seems like his shot looks better than the percentages indicate. So he's been a really good foul shooter also. But yeah, he's always somebody that's looked really comfortable shooting off of movement, and like it seems like he at least has some possible defensive acumen, some playmaking acumen. But yeah, like it doesn't seem like he's gotten off to necessarily like the hottest start this year. I still haven't been able to watch any Michigan games yet, but he is somebody that I think you have to keep an eye on, especially after having like a really solid freshman year. And he is, somebody that I'm just still not completely certain about. I'm not like 100% sold as him being 2021 draft prospect as of yet. But there is certainly things he can do. I think he was really good, like just scoring off of the ball, and he's another one of those like kind of like off-ball utility guys. But at the same time, like processes pretty well, has some quick decision making, and last year at least like had a good sample of taking 3-pointers. So like having that at least like 3-point volume. But yeah, so far hasn't this like is 1 of 8 to start the year. Incredibly small sample size. You'd like him to get to the free throw line a bit more, but yeah, it seems like he's like a skilled cutter and good off ball, good off movement. So yeah, that's I think where the utility kind of lies with him. And also like he's not like a out of this world athlete, but I think like decent athleticism, like is certainly pretty fluid guy for his size. So yeah, he's somebody that definitely I know was on like quite a few watch lists coming into the year because of some of the things that he showed as a freshman, like shooting that high free throw percentage and seeing that possible shooting potential due to how nice his shot looks, especially like off of movement, off of the catch, and then possibly having that ability to put the ball on the floor a little bit as well. But yes, somebody I still want to see more about before necessarily having a real range for him in this draft.
Yeah, it's because he's got an interesting skill set, but he doesn't have like necessarily anything that screams like at this moment like a certain projection. Because again, he could stand to stay in college, definitely work on some things, or he could come out because he might have not just pro prospects in the NBA, but also he can go back to Germany as well.
Though I feel like with Moritz and with Franz, like they could have stayed in Germany if they wanted to. Franz played or Moritz played a game for Alba Berlin when he was still like before he even went to Michigan, against the in an NBA preseason game. So yeah, like if they had wanted to stay in Germany, then like I think that is probably what they would have done. I'm thinking that he wants to be like his brother.
I'm guessing they came
like
over
the NBA. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's where they saw the best path to that. And Moritz Wagner was a first round pick. So yeah.
And in 3 years too, as well. So
Yeah.
So Franz is still.
Yeah. So he did take that last year, and made the NCAA tournament finals also.
He was a dominant, guy.
I don't know about dominant, but yeah, he was good.
He had some pretty good games, and obviously he's on the Wizards now. But Franz,
yeah, and like his brother, he was younger for class also. So like Franz is, I still think only 19 years old. So yeah, he still he was one of the younger freshmen in college last year, and one of the younger sophomores this coming year.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Michigan will do this year under Juwan Howard. Still going strong there. And then
I know they had a few kind of little things going on. I saw Isaiah Livers I think punched a water jug, or there was something going on there. So yeah, we'll see how it all works out.
But yeah, it's like either way, given the circumstances, I think it's going to be just a fairly crazy college basketball season anyway, because week to week we don't know what games are going to happen or subject to be canceled, postponed, moved around. So we're just hoping a solid, the players do get
Michigan Ohio State was canceled
in football.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So it's going to be, I hope a lot of these guys that need it get the ability to have that tape put together, their resumes to really make something happen at the next level. But other than that, college basketball news, today was also a pretty cool day. UCLA finally made a decision to actually have sneakers people want to wear. So they're going to do that. Jordan sneakers.
Oh yeah, I guess. Yeah, shoot.
So they
you don't really think about as nice as college sneakers are, you don't really think about colleges selling sneakers.
What are you not selling? But I mean, they don't sell directly, but I think you see the shoes and they do those school colorways. I still think people, Jordan fans still.
You're very good point. But yeah, I'm more thinking gear. If UCLA has Jordan gear, I'm probably gonna get something.
Oh, totally.
To visit you.
I live across the street. I live right down.
I wasn't going into the store to get Under Armour UCLA gear.
Oh, dude,
if they have Jordan gear, I'll give it a look-see.
And I think again, for me as a sneaker person too, I think some of the UCLA colorways on certain Jordan models.
For sure.
Pretty epic.
Oh yeah, man. I've always loved that UCLA color.
And I think it's the kind of thing not that it's the biggest.
Remember those snowboard boots we had?
Yeah, that's UCLA.
Sick. Still have them.
They're still
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Still practically the original.
Remember those things we wore for our bar mitzvah?
UCLA jerseys. So bad.
UCLA.
But yeah, it's been
interesting. They were white, but
see how much it affected UCLA recruiting, throughout the years. Not that it was they still got, Kevin Love, Russell Westbrook, they still got all these guys, but now that they aren't Under Adidas and Under Armour.
They got Lonzo Ball, bro.
Yeah. No, totally. They've gotten great players, but I think it'd be interesting to see if that, kind of, it's not going to be the end all be all for the recruiting, but I think it's nice versus
maybe they get Evan Mobley next time.
And plus Under Armour wanted, they're still in litigation.
That Peyton Watson, that's a nice one. But yeah, certainly things they can do in terms of football recruiting, obviously. But yeah, basketball recruiting seems like McCronin seems to be on the right path. And then I think this Jordan Brand deal, I'm willing to give it a shot and see what happens. But yeah, it seems like UCLA they seem to be doing okay.
Totally.
Yeah. Especially with all the Under Armour fallout and Under Armour not wanting to have that huge UCLA contract, but UCLA sells tons of stuff, and Jordan Brand swooping in, it seems like a pretty big win.
Yeah, no, totally. think that was a pretty cool, pretty exciting little move. And then what else, this upcoming week is kind of on your horizon as far as like games you're looking forward to? Obviously, Oregon is kicking off Pac-12 play Saturday, 5 o'clock, Washington, after playing Washington in football. In both games in Eugene, nobody able to attend, but
Well, some people, but yeah.
no, it should be like media, but like, yeah, but like, no, if you think how epic, that would be to like walk over to Autzen Stadium, go see the game, walk over to Matt Knight, go see that game, shout out as much hate for the Huskies as you have in one day.
You have a very loose definition of epic. With the way that the teams have played, you have a loose definition of the word epic. But I
think as a diehard fan, I think
I feel like your definition of the word epic is like the epic times, as opposed to the word epic. But yeah, like it. Sorry for calling you out on that one, Jason. But I certainly am excited for conference play to kind of kick off with multiple conferences. Tomorrow I will be watching Florida State play Indiana. That's a game that I really want to see. I didn't get a chance to watch Scottie Barnes' first game against North Florida, but I want to see him play tomorrow. And then I feel like just check your apps, check your calendars, and there'll be a lot of good college basketball going on. NBA is like rapidly on the horizon.
Preseason coming up super soon.
Absolutely. And then James Harden, I am pretty sure, is going to get traded any day now. It seems like it's inevitable. We'll see what happens there. Really excited to have the NBA season on the horizon. College basketball has, even with all the cancellations and the unknown, I feel like it's been going about as well as it could be going. It seems like every team has at least played a game now, and just hoping for as healthy of a season as possible.
Yeah, for as many
moving forward. It just seems like they're trying their best, and that's all of us can do. So,
and at the end of the day, let's just stay healthy enough to have a tournament, because that was such a skill.
Yeah. Oh man.
For this year, in 2020, not having
different time. Definitely different.
Not having NCAA tournament. It's so sad. I mean, even like every kind of fan, like the most casual fans want to watch it. Like there's just everyone fills out a bracket. It's like this whole national phenomenon that when it's not there, it's part of me goes away as well.
Yeah. It's like a lot of gambling and dipshittery, and people missed.
These are like the second favorite things in America after gross ignorance and stupidity. So
it's where like the people who have followed college basketball like religiously closely can look like morons.
Yeah, I know. So 100%. That's why you have to be very hesitant of who you join your bracket group with. Because if someone respects your opinion on basketball and you wrong them in the bracket, or some school comes out of nowhere that you like, what was the school that beat University of Maryland, Baltimore County, the gold?
Yeah, UMBC. Yeah. Former like high level recruit Jarris Lyles, and recipe for disaster, man. Recipe for disaster. And as I said, Virginia lost to San Francisco. Like, so wild things can happen.
Hey, but University of San Francisco has some, NCAA championships. If you go back to the 50s.
From
Bill Russell.
I believe 65 years ago.
Yeah, Bill Russell and like Sam Jones, but still
they
better.
Had two.
Still better. And I put the Ducks in that same respect. We have our banner from 1939. We hang that very proudly, and
sure.
You're coming to play us.
Some schools have zero.
You're coming to play former national champs. And the best part about the Ducks is you can find us at the top of the list, because we're that first NCAA tournament. So you don't have to dig very deep. You can just start.
The fact that like our big men were like, one was 6'8" and one was like 6'4".
One of them you said.
And they were called the Tall Furs. Like, get the absolute F out of here. And then also, one thing I'd be remiss not to mention, Oregon, you didn't need to darken the trees on the court. Like, come on. Like, it doesn't look better.
It's a controversial subject, but yes, I think they could,
You didn't need to make them brown. And like, when it was like light tan, at least it was like, it was fine. I know like I kind of got off on the fact that it annoyed so many other people, but now it's like, it's annoying my mother to the point where it was all that she could talk about during the game.
Correct.
And
she's writing a meme letter as we speak.
Yeah. So like, do something, like tinker. That wasn't something you needed to like stick with your nickname on. You didn't need to tinker with the court. It was fine. Like, yeah, just go back to like the light trees in the background thing. The brown, it's not working, bro. So yeah, let's hope that Oregon continues their home streak. 23 games for the men now. For the women, I'm pretty sure it's infinite. And let's hope it stays that way. Our women's basketball team.
The women can keep it that way. They definitely have that, championship potential. Whereas, Oregon men's basketball gonna be touch and go, especially
doing their best
without Will Richardson for the foreseeable.
No, I've been very happy since and thank you. I shouldn't say thank you to NCAA, but thank you to whatever happened to get LJ Figueroa as a transfer eligible, because that has made a world of difference. And yeah, just really looking forward to Pac-12 play and other major conference play. One other thing I should mention is that it certainly seems like Evan Mobley has been fantastic so far. Cade Cunningham, Oklahoma State's had like a few close games, but they beat like a good Marquette team who like then went on to immediately like beat Wisconsin in dramatic fashion with the Justin Lewis tip-in at the end of the game to win it. But yeah, like Cade Cunningham has been like clutch. Like that's the other thing. Like he's been consistent. He's been clutch. He doesn't want to score as many points as he's had to score, but I think it's just completely necessary. And then in terms of like talking about Jared Butler and a guy like not necessarily being the level of passer that his assists say and probably being better, Cade Cunningham still a tremendous passer, still not having the assist numbers I thought that he would. And I think that if you watch his games, you may see a reason why. But yeah, let's just say there's been a lot of excitement in college basketball. The two games I watched tonight on ESPN were the major ones. I watched Iowa beat North Carolina. North Carolina gave a very valiant effort. And then Illinois beat Duke. So yeah, Big Ten looking really good also, like as we've seen. They had 4 teams ranked in the top 10. But yeah, like just watch college basketball, be amazed, and be really happy that you get the chance to do so. And let's just hope the NBA, many people get better who tested positive for COVID. I had heard it was 48 out of 546 tests. And then let's just hope that the season goes on without
as smoothly as possible. So definitely hoping for the best, because again, we want that big Christmas Day like slate of games, because that's going to be pretty awesome. But thank you guys so much again for checking out this episode. And it's if there's any players that you're feeling for the draft, you want us to talk about,
anybody you want us to watch,
get some have some buzz on, let us know. We'll definitely check it out, take a further look, and then let us know how you're feeling about college basketball. Like, how is your team doing right now? You can drop that in the comments. Let us know, how.
Sorry, Kentucky fans.
It happens to everyone sometimes. But let us know your feelings. Don't forget to subscribe. If you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, turn on your notifications, do all that kind of stuff. Listen to the podcast, hit the button. If you could, thumbs up, leave a review, all that stuff. We super, super appreciate it, because we love bringing this podcast to you guys. And if you do want to check us out, individually on the internet, I am at Jay Visenberg on everything, and he is
NBA Draft Mikey V
on Twitter. If you want to follow us both at the same time, get a lot of the same information.
Yeah.
At Viseland, and you can just shoot us an email if you got any ideas, things you like, just want to talk basketball with us. viselandpod@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Shoot us an email.
My DMs on Twitter are open, so yeah, hit me up. Definitely down to talk basketball. And thank you to everyone who subscribed and everyone who's passed the show on. And really appreciate anyone who's given it a listen. We love you, Viselanders. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Catch you next week.